Hey guys, this is AP World History, Chapter 17, Nomadic Empires and Eurasian Integration. So today we're going to take a look at the Mongols and the empire that they created. So it's important to note that even though the Mongols were not the best administrators, they actually brought back a lot of um, kind of factors that were going to help bring and connect the Eurasian landmass closer together. So let's go ahead and get started. So we're going to look at the Turkish migrations and imperial expansion. So it first starts talking to you about nomadic and settled peoples. And the Turkish migrations, the Turks were obviously the nomads, and they often traded with the settled peoples. Agriculture and manufactured goods were what they traded. So whatever they didn't have, that's what they traded for. Obviously, since they're moving from place to place, they're going to need some sort of food source besides their pastoral animals, and they often traded other manufactured goods as well. And they would be able to, through their migrations, link societies from China to the Mediterranean basin. In addition, these nomadic societies, you were going to see two classes, the nobles and the commoners. So the nobles were often charismatic leaders of the clans and tribes. And they would also form alliances with each other. And it's important to note that the nobles were a fluid class, meaning that just because you're a noble didn't mean that you were going to stay a noble. You could fall to a commoner, but vice versa. The commoner could also rise into becoming a noble through recognition and movement. Perhaps you did well in a battle, and so you're rising to become a noble. So, your question: what did nomadic people in Central Asia do? We're going to move on to the Mongol Empire and Genghis Khan and making of his empire. So it starts with Genghis Khan coming into power, and to start, he was originally in Temujin, and what he does is he begins to form a lot of alliances with other Mongol clan leaders, and he uses this idea of steppe diplomacy to rise into power. And essentially what it is yes, it's these alliance systems and showing loyalty to the people you're allying with, but at the same time, it's recognizing that, hey, if I need to move up, then I will do what I have to. And if that means betray you to move up, even though we were loyal to each other, then I'll do it. So that's essentially what steppe diplomacy is, and that's what he used to move up. It brought all Mongol tribes in. He brought all Mongol tribes into a single confederation. So he didn't feel comfortable having different clan leaders, because then he felt, well, that's people who are going against his power. So he just brought everybody together under his rule. And by 1206, he became known as Genghis Khan, or Chinggis Khan, which means universal ruler. So go ahead and define Khan and Genghis Khan, and then who unified all Mongol tribes into one confederation. So some of the places that Genghis Khan conquered was northern China. He extended the Mongol rule all the way up there by 1220. Another place was in Persia. So Persia at this time was ruled by the Seljuk Turks, and the leader Khwarezm Shah, he despised the Mongols, but yet the Mongols wanted to have an alliance with him, a diplomatic alliance, because they didn't know that he didn't like them. So on their way over there to Persia, the Shah has people ordered to assassinate Genghis Khan, and they're unsuccessful. So once Khan finds out who was ordered the assassination, he begins to retaliate and pretty much takes control of the Persian area. He takes control of all the army, all of the realm. He destroys the Khanates, pretty much just plunders the whole area. And during this time, once he's done doing that, they don't establish a central government. Instead, they assign overlords for administration. So pretty much he's going to say, okay, you know what? You stay here. You take care of this area, and then we'll come back every once in a while to collect taxes. After he dies, after Genghis Khan dies, his realm, his empire that he created will be split into four because of his grandsons. Kublai Khan, he will get China. He will get the consolidated area of China. Very well known, one of the most well known of the Khans. And he's known for his ruthless attacks against his enemies. However, he did improve the welfare of subjects, and he was tolerant of religions. So your other question, who was Kublai Khan? So just so you see on a map, these are the areas we're talking about. So at one point, all of this was under one rule. It wasn't broken up. Right here, this is in the green, the Khanate of the Great Khan. So this is what Kublai Khan was in charge of. And then over here with the Russian area, this is the Khanate of the Golden Horde. This was the Russian area. Not much really happened here because they felt it wasn't very livable land, but they did, extract tribute from there. And then this is the Khanate of the Chagatai that existed, and then of course the Ilkhanate of Persia. So these are the 4 areas we're talking about. So Mongol conquest of southern China, like I said, Kublai Khan, he will be the one to establish rule in 1279. This is when he will establish the Yuan dynasty. So the Song dynasty, remember, it will fall, which will leave that political vacuum for Kublai Khan to come in and take over, and he will establish his own dynasty, and it will last until 1368. There's going to be several attempted invasions in Southeast Asia by the Mongols, but they're going to be unsuccessful just because of the geography and the temperature, the climate in that area. In terms of the Golden Horde, that one will be from 1237 to 1241, and they maintained a large army for the most part, but like I told you, they really didn't find it livable, and the only thing they did was extract tribute from the Russian cities and any agriculture that they produced. And they just didn't find the land appealing, probably again because of the temperature. So your next one, discuss the Mongol rule in China, and discuss the Yuan dynasty, and discuss the Golden Horde. So just again, so you see where we're talking about, we just looked over the Yuan dynasty here, and then the Golden Horde up here. Moving on to the Ilkhanate of Persia, Kublai Khan's brother Hulagu, he defeated the Abbasid Empire, and he's the one that started the Mongols' Ilkhanate in Persia. And he needed governors. He knew that, he was not a good conqueror, so he established or put governors in charge. At first, he realized that it was difficult adjustment as an administrator, and that's why he had put those governors in charge, but even then, some of them just were not equipped to do it because they didn't have the experience of it. And because of this, they really couldn't maintain the land, and they'll lose most of it within a year. So go ahead and discuss the Ilkhanate of Persia. So Mongols and Eurasian integration, the Mongols and trade. So really important, one of the main things, or a positive thing that came out of the Mongols, was that they linked the lands more directly, meaning that there was this obvious connection between the east and west of the Eurasian landmass. And another thing was that they maintained a really good courier service, relaying news and information and government orders, and that's because they made it safe to travel on. It wasn't a dangerous road. By this time, the Silk Roads had kind of died out, so it was kind of dangerous to travel by land now. But when the Mongols come into power, they're able to restore that, and they bring back that courier service. They even encourage travel and communication because it's going to facilitate trade. It's going to facilitate those diplomatic alliances. It also allows missionaries to go and spread their religions to different areas of people and to new lands. So these safe trade routes are going to allow, again, for the more merchants to travel, and it's only going to boost the economies in the places that they go. And again, creating that direct link between China and Europe for the first time. So your other question, why did long-distance trade in Eurasia increase? So after the Mongols, we're going to see Tamerlane the Whirlwind, or Lame the Conqueror. He's going to end the end of the Mongols created this political vacuum in certain areas because it was like, well, you had these leaders and now they're pretty much gone. So once they were gone in China, you're going to see Kublai Khan end, and the Ming dynasty will come in and take over. The Turkish Timur, also known as Tamer the Lame, he will take over the Persian area, and he will model himself after Genghis Khan with his steppe politics. So again, not necessarily a really good administrator, much better at conquering than anything else. So your next question, what was the real name of Lame the Conqueror? And then his conquest, like I said, included areas of Persia, Afghanistan, parts of the Golden Horde, and India. He'll and there's attempts in China and Anatolia, and he'll try for China, but he'll die before he can accomplish it. So he really, again showing the mastery of his conquering. Like others, he was, again, like I told you, not a ruler, but rather a conqueror. And so because he did not know how to administer a empire, it became really hard for him to keep the land that he had. So only tribal leaders were allies, and again, similar to Genghis Khan, he's relying on those overlords in those conquered territories to stay loyal to him, to pay him tribute. So discuss Tamerlane. So after the Mongols, we see Tamerlane's heirs come into play. After Tamerlane, there's no organization, which means there's going to be a lot of conflict between his sons and grandsons for the land. And again, the territory is divided into 4 main regions. The foundation of the Ottoman Empire will come with Osman. So after the Mongols collapse, nomadic people are going to move into territories of Anatolia. And in this area, this is more like the Byzantine Empire. So the Mongols, who will adopt Islam more so than any other religion, are moving into this Byzantine Empire. A series of campaigns and conquests emerged, and one of its leaders during these campaigns of conquest with the Byzantines mostly is going to be Osman. And in 1299, he will declare independence from his sultan, and he will begin to create his own state. And again, this is coming into the Byzantine Empire. So like I said, he's going to conquer into the Byzantine Empire, and his followers will begin to be called the Ottomans obviously after him. After Osman dies, Mehmed II, he will officially conquer the capital of Constantinople, which is the capital of the Byzantine Empire, and he will establish it as a Muslim capital, and he will change the name to Istanbul. All right, so that's pretty much the gist of the Mongol Empire. Important to know the importance that the vast empire had in terms of making it safer to trade. Also, in terms of China and how they pretty much did not allow the intermixing of the Chinese and the Mongols, and they pretty much got rid of all of any cultural ideas of the Chinese, and we don't see it come back until the Ming Dynasty. And just keep in mind as well that the establishment of the Ottoman Empire will last until World War I, until the end of World War I.